Hi, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. You can also find an Instagram account and a Facebook page for my small business. I run a bricks and mortar yarn shop called Yarn and Yarns, the same name as the channel, and we are based in South Wales, just outside of Cardiff in the UK. A very big hello to you all. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I want to say a very big welcome to our new subscribers. We've had a few over the last couple of weeks, so I'm very grateful for any one of you who chooses to spend a little bit of time with me. And of course, great big woolly hugs to anyone who has been here before and has chosen to come back and spend some time with me again. Yeah, I don't know why you do it, but you do, and I am forever grateful. Thank you very much. So I have got some finished objects, some works in progress, and if I've got time, I've got a few things that have recently come into my possession that I would like to talk to you about, but I'm not sure whether we'll get time, how long I've got. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon here on Sunday, and the clock's changed in the UK last night, so the sun is due to set in just a few hours, so the light's going to be a bit crazy. Already I can see I have got one half bright face and one half dark face, so I apologise for that, but if I don't record today, I'm not sure when it will be, and it's already been a couple of weeks since I've done one of these videos, so I really wanted to come by and speak to you all. So I hope you will forgive me for any crazy lighting issues that we have. As you can see, I am here in my craft room. You can see the nice neat wall behind me. Everywhere else is a little bit of a tip. When I say a little, I mean a lot. I'm also participating in Vlogtober, where I am recording a little bit of footage every day. I've just flashed the one corner of my room that's got all sorts of stuff piled up, so if you want to see the real chaos, then hop on over to the vlog that I will be publishing. So where shall I start? Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since I've recorded. Last weekend was the wonderful Knit Tea Retreat in Cardiff, organised by Jenny and Zoe. Jenny is Pins and Needles UK. No, she's not. Jenny is All About Yarn and Zoe is Pins and Needles UK over on Instagram, and they arranged a lovely retreat here in Cardiff at a beautiful building called Insole Court. We had a stunning weekend of beautiful weather. The grounds were looking amazing, and we had, yeah, just a wonderful weekend. There were 50 or so knitters. We took part in a bunch of classes, and there was just lots of fun. There was a small marketplace on Sunday. If you're interested in finding out more about that, I have 2 vlogs. I think they are Vlogtober day 20 and 21, something like that, where I spoke about my thoughts day to day on that. Zoe also has put up a retreat vlog on her YouTube channel, which is Pins and Needles. So yeah, hop on over and check that out if you'd like to hear more about the fun weekend that we had. But yeah, that was part of the reason I didn't get a chance to record last week. I was vending at the marketplace on Sunday, so I had a bit of prep to do for that. Consequently, I've got a few bits and pieces to show you. Probably not as much as I might otherwise have had for a 2-week stint, but that's okay. I'm just going to dive straight in with finished objects. The first, I've got a variety of things to show you today. I have got some knitting, some crochet, some needle felting and some button making, so all sorts of different crafts. I'm going to start with crochet, and I don't have my finished crochet objects with me, but I did record a little video the other day talking about those objects, so I'm going to pop that in here. And for knitting, I have 3 finished objects. I have got 2 pairs of socks and a shawl, though the shawl is not 100% finished because it hasn't yet been blocked. But I'll chat to you about the socks first. So first off, my hot socks. So the yarn is Grundle Hot Socks. I think it was Hot Socks Pearl, and I picked up this yarn when we were on a trip to Yorkshire earlier on this year, and I went to a lovely yarn shop called Ewan Yarn in Thirsk, and I came away with a couple of bits and pieces from there. But one thing that I purchased was a lovely ball of hot socks. I'd not tried this sock yarn before, so I was really interested to see how it would work up. So those socks are now finished. I only purchased one 50-gram ball, so I didn't have enough yarn to kind of match up my stripe patterning, but that's okay. I'm glad they turned out the way they did. I think it's really fun that the green stripe falls on this second sock in between the two green stripes on the first sock, and I really love all of the beautiful autumnal colours in this particular colourway. If I remember, I'll put the colourway down on the screen. I don't have the ball band with me, I don't think. I think it might be downstairs. I paired the hot socks yarn with some drops Fibre. I'm not sure of the colourway for that. It was just a ball of their uni colour that I purchased probably a couple of years ago, and I've been digging it out and using it for heels, cuffs and toes on various pairs of socks. And actually this is the last of that lovely green colourway, which is a little bit sad because it's a very nice colour. But yeah, not too much to say about those. I knit my standard recipe, so I cast on for 64 stitches on a 2.25mm needle, knit 12 rounds of 2x2 rib, 50 rounds for the leg, fish lips kiss heel, 70 rounds for the foot, and then just a standard wedge toe. This yarn's actually really nice and soft, so I'm going to be interested. It's got a little bit of cashmere in, so I'm going to be interested to see how these socks wear. I've got lots of lovely pairs of socks, and I find that things like the Opal and the Regia, the sort of tougher commercial yarns, last a little bit better than some of the lovely indie dyed yarns. I love my indie dyed socks, but they tend to sort of felt a lot quicker, I have found. A lot of those bases are merino base, so I guess that yarn is a little bit softer than the yarn that they use in a lot of the commercial sort of sock bases. But yeah, this one with the cashmere in, as I say, I'm going to be interested to see how it wears. But I won't be able to wear them for another couple of days. They're still damp on the blockers, so I need to wait for those to dry off. But yeah, I am really pleased with those, and these were the first pair of socks that I've knit for myself in a little while, so yeah, I really enjoyed those. I'm just taking them off the blockers as we speak because I have another pair of finished socks to show you. I have been using October as an excuse to cast on all the socks, so every week I've been casting on a new pair of socks, and the week before last, I cast on a pair of vanilla socks, another pair of vanilla socks for me, from a lovely skein of yarn from local indie dyer by Miranda May is her label, and I picked out the Fairy Lights in the Snow colourway, and I knit on these socks quite a lot at the retreat last weekend, and I think I might have enabled one or two people to purchase this yarn. So if you're watching and that's you, I do apologise. But you will have a beautiful pair of socks. So Miranda sells this yarn in a small sock set. So this one was a 50-gram skein of the main colour and then a 20-gram mini of the contrast colour, and it's gorgeous speckly yarn. It's knit up really lovely, so I'm really excited to have these to wear. I love this sort of deep burgundy red of the contrast, so I haven't worn these yet. Wanted to show them off properly on the video. I knit my socks magic loop, so I think often you'll see when I show off my socks I have a little bit of a ladder down the sides where the front and back stitches are, but I find that after a couple of washes and wears that disappears, so I don't worry too much about making sure that that sort of disappears in my knitting, because I find that it will disappear over time. So lots of beautiful speckles in this yarn. It was a real pleasure to knit with this colourway. So yeah, now I have shown them off to you. I'm excited to be able to wear these socks. Again, these were my standard recipe, 64 stitches, 2x2, 50, 70, fish lips kiss and a wedge toe. My final knitting finished object, as I said, it's a shawl, but it's not entirely finished because it hasn't yet been blocked. It's been living in a project bag that I made for myself in this lovely gulls and oyster catcher fabric. And this is my Esme shawl, which is a pattern by Sarah Hatton, designed for West Yorkshire Spinners, and the yarn I used is the West Yorkshire Spinners fleece 100% Wensleydale gems yarn. I used two colours for this version of the shawl. I used Cobalt, which is colour 155, and Moonstone, which is colour 113. And this is the fourth iteration of this, they call it a shawl, but to me it's more of a scarf because it's quite sort of long and skinny. But this is the fourth iteration of this pattern that I have knit, and I have absolutely adored knitting every one of these. The colours and this yarn, oh, I just love it. Love Wensleydale. So yeah, it starts off at this end and you cast on your stitches, so your rows are never longer than this. So you start off here, you cast on, and then you do sections of eyelet rows in your contrast colour, decreasing in size. So you start, and then as you can see they get skinnier and skinnier, and then you do a few sets of sort of one pattern repeat, and then once you've done those you just knit out in the plain colour. As you can see, I've still got some ends to weave in until the project is as long as you want. The actual pattern goes for a lot longer than what I have done for these, because it really is quite long and gets really skinny at the end. But this is plenty big enough to, awkwardly showing you this over the top of another shawl that I'm wearing today. So yeah, it's long enough to wrap around and have decent ends hanging, so I haven't bothered to do the full length of the pattern. This is a commission knit, and this was the fourth version of this that I have knit for the same lady who wants to gift these to relatives of hers for Christmas. So I am well ahead of the game with that one. So yeah, that one just needs to be blocked, the last few ends woven in, and it will be finished. So I'm really happy to have that one off the needles. I have some needle felting to show you. So as part of the retreat last weekend, I took a needle felting class with Emma Bevan, who is the brains behind Folky Felt. So this is her card. I don't know if my camera's going to focus, but hopefully you'll see that. And we were able to spend a few hours with Emma, and we started off by being able to make a flat needle felted piece, and there were some amazing creations made in our little workshop. People were making landscapes and animals and all sorts, but I decided to go abstract for my flat piece, and I just picked out some colours from the fibre that she had in her abundant fibre basket, and I just made this kind of abstract piece with some of the colours and put some texture in, put some of these curly locks. So we started with a piece of felt, wool felt, and we just punched on top with this, and yeah, it was a really fun, great stress buster, because you have some barbed needles and you're sort of pushing them to felt the fibres together. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. At one point I thought I was going to have a volcano, but I changed the shaping a little bit. So I think up here, this dark patch sort of went up and down, and it looked quite volcano-esque, but in the end I took some of that out and layered on top of it and just made it abstract. So I'm going to look out for a piece of driftwood if I can. So what I thought is, if I can find a small piece of driftwood down at the beach one day, then I shall just make this into a little hanging, and I think it will look really nice on the wall behind me, just as an abstract piece of felted art. So yeah, really happy with that. And we had enough time to also tackle a sort of a 3D piece. So again, people made some wonderful things. We had a wolf, a cat. What else did we have? Oh, someone made a hilarious little Donald Trump. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The creativity in that room was fantastic. I stayed simple and I made a little pumpkin. So this is my teeny tiny little needle felted pumpkin. Yeah, really fun. Really fun to make. So I'm quite pleased with that as a first attempt. It's not the most even, and when you feel it, you can feel there's some bits which have been felted in more than others. But it looks like what it's meant to be, and that is always half the battle. And I'm a bit cross with myself because Emma had some lovely kits. I think one was to make a mole and one was to make a hare, and I meant to go back and purchase a kit from her from the marketplace, but time just got away with me and I didn't get back to her stand. But she is going to be vending at a market that's happening in Cardiff next weekend. I can't remember what it's called. It's either handmade in Cardiff or made, I can't remember, but it's at City Hall next weekend if you're local, Friday to Sunday. So I'm hoping to pop out to see her on Sunday, and I'm hoping she might have some of her lovely kits with her, because I'd love to have another go at a bit of needle felting. So yeah, I think we were in the workshop for 2.5, 3 hours, something like that, and we all came away with 2 pieces. So yeah, it was really fun. And I've got quite a big fibre stash from where I've collected things for spinning. I still haven't managed to, for anyone who's curious, I still haven't managed to get either of my wheels up and working, which is a little bit sad to me, but I needed to find some time. I think now the evenings are drawing in and there'll be more time at home, I will try and make it my mission this winter to get up and running with my spinning wheels. Anyway, digression. So yeah, I have got fibre if I want to have a play and make some more things. I just need to get the tools. So that is that for needle felting. I have one more finished object and it is teeny tiny. So yesterday in the shop I had a little group that they come along once a month. They call themselves the Loopy Ladies, and they're a fun group of ladies, and they try and do little sort of sessions every time they meet, either some sort of technique or make some kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I think next month is Christmas theme, so we've been instructed to bring along some Christmassy yarn, but this weekend they decided to have a little session on Dorset buttons. Dorset buttons, for anyone who doesn't know, is a really traditional craft. It's definitely becoming more prevalent, and there was actually a Dorset button workshop at the retreat last weekend, but I didn't get to go on that workshop, but in the end I got to make a Dorset button anyway, and this is my little button. My camera doesn't really want to focus on it, but never mind, I think you get the idea. So basically you start with a ring. So in our case we had some metal rings, but I think you can use little plastic rings in the washers just as well. And yeah, you kind of wrap thread around and eventually you end up with a lovely button. So this particular pattern I think is called a cross wheel button. There are all sorts of different patterns that you can end up with, and I think you can be sort of super creative with a ring and thread and come up with all sorts of things. I know that we had the lady whose name is escaping me, who is Beaker Buttons, at the Knit Tea retreat last weekend, and she had some fantastic kits. She had like some much bigger rings, and they had like patterns with like trees and peacocks and all sorts, sort of thread wrapped into these rings. So again, another really fun craft, and this took our Saturday afternoon sessions of 2 hours. So I made 2 rounds of tea, I served about 5 customers, and I made a Dorset button. So they don't take long at all once you get going. All these crafts, I want to like do them all. Need some more hours in a day, please, please. If anyone has some spare hours to throw my way, gratefully received. On to works in progress. I have 3 works in progress to show you. Of course I have many more works in progress than that, but I have 3 that I have been working on. One of them I am only going to briefly show you because it's a test knit, and I'm test knitting a pair of gorgeous socks for Nessa Townley, who is Kiltercraft over on Instagram, and she has a Kiltercraft YouTube channel, and she is bringing out some lovely designs in the near future, and I'm test knitting a sock for her. It's a colourwork sock, and I have knit the leg of the sock. She's asked us not to show too much detail of these test knits, but she has put little teasers on her Instagram, so I think I am okay to sort of show you little flashes, because if you pop on over to her Instagram you will have seen them anyway. So the colourwork pattern goes down the leg, and the idea is to knit in some sort of gradient. So I have chosen this red yarn as my main colour, and then I've chosen 5 different sort of tones of greys to knit my gradient. These were just leftovers that I picked out from my stash. So if I just show you the first sort of little section of colour work to give you an idea. So that's kind of how it's looking, you can see. So yeah, I'm having fun knitting that. I'm a little bit behind, although the deadline for the test knit is not until a week Friday. So I'm going to be working on this afternoon. I'm keeping this in another project bag that I made. This gorgeous fabric was sent to me by my lovely friend Lisa, who is Use Your Yarn over on Instagram and Ravelry, and she made some bags from this red cardinals fabric, and I commented on how lovely the fabric was, and she very kindly sent me some of her leftover fabric so that I could make my very own bag, and I love it. I use it all year round really, but I thought this one was particularly appropriate because I'm using that lovely red yarn in the sock, and the red yarn is from Stitch Please, and I was sent this in a swap that I did, and it is 75% 25% superwash merino nylon, and the colour is Blood of Thy Enemies. Which I love, that's just tickled me. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I will have plenty of this left over, either for like heels, toes and cuffs on future socks, or I might get like a pair of shorties out of the leftovers of that yarn once I have finished this pair of socks. Okay, one more pair of socks to show. And this is like the sock show, isn't it? 4 pairs of socks all together, kind of ridiculous. Can you tell my sock mojo has come back? It's been really nice knitting socks for myself. Quite a few of the pairs that I've knit over the last few months have been for other people, so yeah. I am keeping this lovely work in progress in a gorgeous bag that I purchased at last week's retreat from Emma of Eldenwood Craft. I do apologise, it's probably covered in newt hairs. I've got my Knit Tea Retreat pin on the bag, and isn't that beautiful? It's just, oh, classic, simple, elegant, love it. And I had my eye on this bag all afternoon. So Emma was my buddy at the marketplace. I had the lovely Jenny on one side, and I had Emma of Eldenwood Craft on the other side. So yeah, it was a fab afternoon, and I had my eye on this bag, and it just was sat on the table. Her bags were super popular, which is completely understandable because they're beautiful, but this bag just kept sitting there and sitting there, and in the end I could no longer resist, and I'm so glad that no one else wanted to take this one home, because it was mine, all mine. And in this bag I have some socks from another purchase that I made at the retreat from Deb, who is down Sheepy Lane, and I am knitting her self-striping yarn. This again was a beautiful little kit with 2 gobstopper balls, so this self-striping gobstopper, and then a contrast mini for heels, toes and cuffs, and the main colour is pumpkin pie. Well, actually it just says pumpkin pie for the whole set, so Yeah, I don't know if the green has got a separate colourway. The mane is 75% superwash Blueface Leicester, which I'm really excited about. I've not knit a pair of socks with Blueface Leicester yarn, and I've heard that it's really good for socks because it's a little bit more hard wearing than merino. 25% nylon. This mini skein I think has been mislabeled because it says that it's stellina, but there's no sparkle in that one. So, and it's the pumpkin pie colourway. And I have just about finished my first sock. So I cast this on last Monday when I had the post-retreat blues. So I wanted to get something on the needles that would kind of extend those lovely feelings that I had, and remind me of all of the beautiful people that I met at the retreat. So I cast this on and I am about to kitchener the toe. So yeah, love, love, love this. Aren't those colours absolutely glorious? I have a really fun glass stitch marker on here. These little glass beads are made by Caroline, who is Colourful Creativity, and she gifted me this gorgeous little sheepy glass marker. So yeah, lots of memories in bag, marker, yarn of the fun weekend and all of the wonderful people that I got to hang out with. I could have started that second sock last night, but I would have been kitchenering the toe at about 1 o'clock this morning. We were trying to watch the end of Daredevil season 3, and I needed something to keep me awake, so I was knitting on that sock. But I thought kitchenering the toe closed at that time of the night would just be one step too far. Okay, final work in progress to show you today is my jumper, which will hopefully be for James for his Christmas present, and the pattern is Beagle by Nora Gorn, and I am knitting this version in Rowan Belted Tweed Aran, in colourway 745, which is named Ultra. The last time I showed this jumper, I was on the seed stitch or the moss stitch section at the top, but since I chatted to you last, I ripped that section back because my tension on that section was just way off, and the top of the jumper was kind of creeping out that way, and it was just going to end up being way too big across the shoulders for James. So I think I'd knit a good way, sort of like up to about here. So I'd knit all this, and then I decided it needed ripping back. So I ripped that back and reknit it in a smaller needle size, and I'm much happier with how it looks. So I've got a relatively sort of straight transition now from the sort of rib and pattern section down here, whereas before, as I say, it was kind of creeping out this way. So back is finished. I really love this sort of textured pattern across the back with these sort of like rib sections, and then these texture panels. And this week I have cast on the front of the jumper. I haven't got a huge amount of distance into it, and I've just dropped a bunch of stitches off of my needles because of course I am part way through a row. Just talk amongst yourself while I while I sort out this hot mess. Here we go. So yeah, I have cast on for the front. As you can see, I've got through the bottom ribbing, and I have now established that sort of pattern that works its way up the front of the jumper. So I just need to knit away on that now. It's really easy now I have got into this section. So I am rather excitingly travelling to London on Friday. I'm going to Yarnporium. I will try and vlog about my day. I am going to visit the marketplace in the morning, and then I am taking a workshop in the afternoon. So this, I think, will probably become my travel knitting for the Friday. I have got sort of like well, I'll be on the train for about 5 hours there and back to London on Friday. So that should give me a good amount of knitting time, and this isn't too big to sort of cart around, so I'm going to try and resist the urge to work on this anymore this week and save this for Friday for that journey. At the moment, that is also living in one of my Me Made project bags, but as you can see, I've got the back in there, and this is now pretty full when I put what I've got of the front in as well. So I'm going to change that up to an even bigger bag. This is the second bag this has lived in, so it needs to go up to an even bigger bag soon. Just drinking some orange juice from my lovely Knit Tea retreat mug. That is everything in terms of finished objects and works in progress, and I think that's quite enough. I think this video is probably already in the 30 or 40 minute region. Not entirely sure because I've paused it a couple of times to faff around. So I don't know exactly where we're up to in terms of time. I don't usually go with acquisition sections, but I just thought I would quickly show you some of the beautiful things that have come my way in the last week or two. At the retreat, we received a gorgeous goodie bag, which I believe all the bags were handmade by Zoe, Jenny, and I think Zoe's mum as well. So it's this gorgeous Knit Tea Retreat fabric drawstring bag, and this was stuffed to the gunnels with lots of lovely things. There were lots of sort of leaflets and cards, postcards from various businesses and retreat attendees. Ruth Crafts gave us a discount code, or not even a discount code, but a generous code for a free pattern. So I have downloaded a free pattern from Ruth's Ravelry page, and I also purchased a couple of other patterns that she had, and I'm thinking I got 2 skeins from the bring and take table at the retreat. Everyone who attended the retreat was invited to bring along some things from their stash that they no longer wanted. So I took in quite a few things. I think I took in about 5 or 6 skeins of yarn in the end, and I came home with 2. And I'm thinking that one of these might make the lovely shawl that I've downloaded from Ruth. Originally, I thought it would be this gorgeous skein of yarn from Nemu. I believe they no longer dye, but that isn't that gorgeous. But I don't think there's going to be quite enough yardage on here. 365 meters to 100 grams. It's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So I might make myself a super fancy pair of socks, or actually, wouldn't that make a glorious sock head hat? Ooh, yeah, maybe. I love anyway, distracted. I am already fantasy knitting with all of these things. So yeah, the shawl actually may come to fruition from this gorgeous skein of yarn from I Knit or Dye. I do have a skein of this in my stash somewhere, not in this colour. This is called the Rubber Sole colour, and this base is 50-50 superwash merino and silk. So yeah, I think that would be lovely for a shawl. And the pattern, I'm blanking on the name of the pattern, but it's got this gorgeous sort of like leaf lace motif. So yeah, I think that would be really nice, and hopefully that will go on my needles shortly. We also in the goodie bag got this glorious skein from Jenny, Owl About Yarn, Happy Owl DK, and this is the retreat special colourway, these glorious purples. And in our little retreat booklet there are 2 patterns, one designed by Jenny, one designed by Zoe, that could make use of that skein. So there's a lovely hat from Zoe and this beautiful cowl. So yeah, I think that will turn into one of those projects at some point in the not too distant future. Also, we got a beautiful mini skein from Deb of Down Sheepy Lane. This is really glorious. I don't think the subtleties are going to show up, but there's some. It's kind of like a neutral base, but with kind of really lovely sort of blush pinky tones, and then glorious kind of speckles. So I'll have to find something nice to do with that. Definitely could be used for heels, toes and cuffs on socks, but equally it could look really nice as part of a shawl or something like that. So I purchased 3 skeins of yarn from the marketplace as well, all from Caroline, who is Krala Lien. I don't know if I have pronounced that right, on Instagram, but there. So colourful creativity. So I purchased this glorious skein called Koi Pond, and this is on her colourful soft sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I was talking to her about merino sock bases, and she let me know that this one is actually quite a sturdy merino sock base, not too far off of like an opal or a regia. Feels slightly softer to me than that, but I will definitely be making myself a pair of socks from this yarn, and I will be interested to see how they wear. Oh, glorious. I'm going to wind this up and cast this on this week. We're still in October, so this will be going on the needles as my last pair of socks for October. Socktober. I also purchased, well, wait for it. Woohoo! Look at these. Aren't they fantastic? I know not everyone likes bright colours, but I do. What can I say? Caroline and I were in the same class from Anakin, Alice, which was all about steeking. And Caroline had knit up a lovely sample for her colourwork class in these 2 colours. And I just fell in love with how they looked together. So these are definitely going to be a really bright, fun shawl. And I have a pattern in mind. A lovely visitor to the marketplace was wearing this beautiful shawl, the name of which escapes me, but I've popped it into my Ravelry queue. And yeah, I am going to make that beautiful shawl in these glorious yarns. I cannot wait. I know, it's very Halloweeny, isn't it? Purple and orange, but yeah. Final thing before I sign off, I actually purchased a magazine today. So while we were out and about looking for our lunch, we went into WH Smith's, which is kind of a stationery store, magazine store here in the UK, and James was buying a birthday card. So I picked up a copy of the Knitter magazine. I don't often buy magazines anymore, but there were lots of patterns in here that I really like. So I thought I'd treat myself. In particular, I'm going to show you 3 patterns quickly, if I can find them. There's probably going to be a bit of choppy editing here as I flick through the magazine to find the things that I want to show you. First was actually a colourwork cardigan that I thought was really lovely. It's called Gilda by Mary Henderson, and it employs some steeking. And as I have just done a steeking class, I thought it might encourage me to try out those techniques. But when I'm going to have time to cast on a colourwork cardigan, I do not know. But here it is. I thought that was really nice, with the colourwork yoke and the band around the bottom. I'm not sure if I'd do the band around the bottom. I like the sort of different colours in the ribbing, but I might not do those bands on the bottom. I think it would look quite nice plain down to there with the colourful ribbing. So yeah, that is on my fantasy knitting list, as is 2 more projects that there's more than 3 in here that I really liked, but there were 3 in particular that just took my fancy. The next were these socks called Foxy Lady by Lauren Riker. Aren't they cute? Love those. Love the pointy little ears. So yeah, I think they'd be quite fun and fairly quick. Obviously you need to do this colourwork portion here, but then it's just plain knitting from there on in. So if I can find the right colours, I think they will be a fun one to do. And then finally, I love these Briar Rose mitts, a pattern by Sophie McCain, knit from Bar Am U Pip Colourwork, which I happen to stock in the shop. Aren't they lovely? So these red or the pinky sort of bits are duplicate stitched afterwards. So the colourwork section is the blue and the white. Yeah, but there's some other really pretty projects in this magazine as well. So magazines over here I think are fairly expensive these days. This magazine cost me £5.99, which is not cheap, but considering the number of patterns and the number of patterns that I like in this particular issue, I didn't mind spending a little bit of money to bring this home with me. And it's a nice Sunday treat as well as brunch. I like the Celtic knot cushion as well. So yeah, I think I am going to wrap it up here. I think this episode is going to be super long. I'm wearing my Mitered Nova shawl, which is a pattern by Piper or Chanel Woo, and you can find it over on Ravelry. I test knit this for Chanel. It's a massive, long, asymmetrical shawl. So I knit this in Countess Ablaze, can't remember the colourways. Hedgehog Fibres is the speckly yarn. And the neon green is another Countess Ablaze. And this is one of my most worn shawls because it goes round and round and round and round forever. Anyway, on that note, I am definitely going to leave you. Thank you so much if you have lasted the distance. I am sorry this one has been so long. I hope that whatever you are doing when you are watching, you are able to fit in some of the things that you enjoy doing this week. And until next time, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.